death toll in the tragic Best bus accident in Mumbai's Kurla West has risen to 7, while 42 others have sustained injuries. The accident occurred when a bus rammed into pedestrians and vehicles along SG Barve Marg, the cops have informed. The Best bus was heading towards Andheri when it lost all control. Over a 100-meter stretch, it collided with 30 to 40 vehicles before crashing into the RCC column of the Solomon building, breaking its compound wall, according to the BMC. Further commenting on the accident, in which several vehicles were dragged or damaged along the way, the transport body has said that the bus speed accelerated after the driver lost control over the wheels. The bus driver, Sanjay More, has been detained, officials have said. Let's quickly listen into this ground report that has been filed by my colleague Daryl, where he has even spoken to some eyewitnesses.
A major bus incident took place on Monday night at around 10 p.m. in Mumbai's Kurla area, where right now I am present, and this is the area where the whole incident took place, and a BST bus rammed into pedestrians and also several vehicles. We can see exclusively on the visuals that these are the vehicles, an auto rickshaw and also a taxi, where the BST bus driver rammed into when he lost his control on the bus. And we can see till now the official data which has been shared by the BMC, 49 people have been injured and 6 people have lost their lives, and it is said that this death toll also might rise in later in the day. We can see this is the area where the bus rammed into the pedestrians and several vehicles which were present on this street, and we can see that many people have lost their lives. We'll try to speak to some eyewitnesses who were present on the spot and try to understand about this whole incident, about how this incident took place, what time it took place, and where the people were sitting, and all about these details. There are some eyewitnesses. We'll try to speak to them. Sir, कितने बजे ये घटना हुई और आप थे इस समय, क्या हुआ?
ये रात को 9:45 बजे के 9:45 के और 10 के बीच में ये हुआ। 10:40 वही 9:45 बजे के करीब हुआ। बस उधर से क्या बोलते हैं शुरू हुई, उधर से रिक्शे वाले को पहले ठोका। इधर पुलिस की गाड़ी खड़ी थी, पुलिस की गाड़ी खड़ी थी। पुलिस की गाड़ी रिक्शे को उड़ाने के बाद पुलिस की गाड़ी को ठोका। इधर इस बाइक पे ना दुकान वाली की लड़की बैठी थी। मैं ऐसे निकला, मैं अपने आप को बचाने के लिए उसको लड़की को बचा के हमें अंदर घुस गया। फिर वो बस ऐसा राइट मार के फिर लेफ्ट मार के से सीधा आगे जाके ठोकते हुए और भी गाड़ियों को ठोकते हुए वो सीधा एकदम स्पीड में निकल गया। वो
आंकड़ा कितना है अभी जो बीएमसी ने डेटा दिया उसके मुताबिक?
Good evening, you're watching NewsX with me, Devika Chopra. Our top focus right now is the Mumbai bus accident. At least 7 people have died and 49 others have been injured after a bus in Mumbai ran into pedestrians and vehicles last night. The incident occurred near the BMC L Ward in Kurla. Police suspect that it was a case of brake failure which caused the crash. But the 50-year-old driver named Sanjay More has now been arrested and detained. The incident unfolded at 9:30 p.m. when a Best bus going from Kurla Railway Station to Andheri veered off course, crashing through pedestrians and vehicles before barreling into a residential society called Buddha Colony, where it finally came to a stop when it hit the colony gate. Over a 100-meter stretch, it collided with 30 to 40 vehicles before crashing into the RCC column of the Solomon building, breaking its compound wall. Visuals on your screens, viewers, of everything that the CCTV footage last night picked up on what's happened. As far as we know, in the investigation, we have learnt that simply the bus driver has currently been detained by the cops, but as far as initial investigation is concerned, the cops don't think that it was a case of just brake failure. We of course will take you through some photographs in just a short while from now, but before that, viewers, We have spoken to the family members of the victims of the bus accident. Let's quickly listen in to what they had to say.
मेरे बहनों ये बड़े वो अभी मुझे पता चला रात में एक्सीडेंट हुआ था। अभी मैं जब देखने के लिए आया तो मैं ऊपर गया तो उनके जो है गले में पूरा गर्दन में पट्टा टाइप का पड़ा हुआ। तो मैं उनसे पूछा तो बोले ठीक है गर्दन में दर्द है, तो गर्दन में फ्रैक्चर हो चुका है, सब डॉक्टर ने बताया। तो उनको बोला तो गर्दन में फ्रैक्चर हो चुका है, अभी इसका क्या होगा? तो बोले अभी इसको जो है MRI होगा। तो बोले ठीक है सर करिए MRI। तो बोले MRI यहाँ नहीं होगा, बाहर से कराना पड़ेगा। तो बोला बाहर से कराना पड़ेगा कैसा? बोले 6,000 रुपये जमा कर दो तब MRI बाहर से होगा। तो बताइए 6,000 रुपये हमारे पास, एक तो उसने किसी को ठोका तो है नहीं, वो तो रोड पे चल रहा तो उसको लोग उड़ा के जा रहे हैं बस वाले ने, वो 6,000 रुपये भी डालेगा। वो खुद एडमिट है, उसका रिक्शा डैमेज हो चुका है, उसके बच्चे कम से कम 4 दिन से वो घर नहीं गया था, नाला सुपारा में रहता था, यहाँ पे गाड़ी चलाता आके वो गाड़ी चलाता। अब उसका कुछ है नहीं, उसके बच्चे खुद उनके बच्चों को हम लोग अपने घर पे बुलाए।
NewsX has also spoken to the eyewitnesses who've narrated the entire accident. Listen in.
घटना कब हुई, कैसी हुई, उसके बारे में जरा बताइए।
9:15 वाजता 10:45 को यहाँ पे घटना हो गई है।
9:45 को हुआ।
हाँ सॉरी 9:45 को। और वहाँ से शीतल बेकरी के इधर से जो ठोकते ठोकते सब गाड़ी को, आधा एक गाड़ी बीच में खड़ी थी अपना मार्केट से क्रॉस कर रही थी, वो जाके इंदिरा निवास के सामने एक ये दुकान है मारवाड़ी का, उधर पुलिस की गाड़ी घुस गई। बाद में उधर से टर्न मार के सब गाड़ी को थोड़ा थोड़ा करते करते अम्बेडकर नगर में अंदर घुस गई वो। लेकिन ये तो आज ना कल होने वाला ही था, ये तो हमारे को मालूम ही था। क्यों मालूम है? इधर कितना भी कंप्लेंट करो, कुछ भी करो, रास्ते फेरी वाले को बोलो या गाड़ी वाले को बोलो, कुछ भी समस्या का हल नहीं होता है ये रोड पे।
तो कितने लोग घायल है? अभी तक जो आंकड़ा सामने उसमें 49 लोग घायल है, 6 लोगों की मौत हो चुकी है। आप थे स्पॉट पे?
मैं ये स्पॉट पे था, मेरे सामने कम से कम यहाँ पे ये सराउंडिंग में कम से कम 20 लोग थे। बाकी बस यहाँ से ठोकते हुए आगे और भी लोगों को ठोकते हुए गई। आगे रास्ते में और भी लोगों को उन्होंने घसड़ी मारा, कोई है ना गाड़ी के उसने खींच लिया, गाड़ी के नीचे खींच लिया। और जब यहाँ पे एक्सीडेंट यहाँ से स्टार्ट हुआ, बस ने यहाँ से शुरुआत किया, फिर उसने राइट मारा, राइट मार के वो डायरेक्शन में पुलिस राइट साइड में पुलिस की गाड़ी खड़ी थी और उसने पुलिस की गाड़ी को ठोका। पुलिस की गाड़ी के नीचे 3 जन आ गए, पुलिस की गाड़ी के नीचे 3 जन आ गए। ये रिक्शा तो अभी और भी रिक्शा थी, उसको हटा दिया गया, वो इससे भी ज़्यादा डैमेज थी, इससे भी ज़्यादा डैमेज थी। रिक्शा थी, बाइक थे, सब थे, उनको हटा दिया गया है क्योंकि, और रात में ही हटा दिया गया। और उधर से ऐसे ठोकते हुए
ड्राइवर दारू पिया था या कंट्रोल लॉस था?
अब ये तो मुझे पता नहीं कि वो ड्रिंक किया था कि नहीं, पर गाड़ी उधर स्टेशन से एकदम नॉर्मल आई, बस स्पीड यहाँ से बढ़ी उसकी। अब उसका कंट्रोल खोया है या क्या खोया है वो बस में बैठे हुए पैसेंजर बता सकते हैं या तो वो खुद बता सकता है। उसका हाँ इंडिकेटर चालू था, उसका चारों दो हमारे चालू रहता है, पार्किंग लाइट उसने वो।
So there you were, very interesting details there being shared by some of the eyewitnesses who say that clearly they just didn't understand what happened because it all happened so fast. But some of the eyewitnesses do accept that the bus driver gained speed closer to Kurla, where the entire accident has taken place. Let's quickly take our viewers to some of the photographs that have come from last night as well. This, viewers, is a top photo of the bus once it had crashed already into the colony. Okay, so this is how the entire bus, in fact, it was stopped after ramming into several vehicles. This is how it came to a halt after crashing into the colony gate. This is a front photograph of what the bus looked like after it had rammed into several vehicles and also injured pedestrians and others in those vehicles in the entire process. Here's another photograph of the cars that have been damaged by the bus. Alright, so this is right here, once again the bus, and this is one of the vehicles that was damaged in this entire accident last night, one cab in fact. Another visual showing more damage to the bus as it continued to ram into several vehicles last night. This is a photograph of one of the autos that was crushed. You can literally see that it was crushed by the impact, by the sheer impact with which it was hit. This is another photograph of the accident last night. another taxi. I'm assuming that from the yellow plate that I see here, this was another taxi which was parked to the side of the road, and once again the bus rams into it and the taxi is taken to the other side and it collides into a tree as well as a pole on this side, and you can see the state. This of course is one photograph from the CCTV footage that has now been released of the entire accident, where you can see right here, viewers, the red part is the bus, and the bus is of course coming in this direction and it's hit this car, this private vehicle that was parked right here. Okay, once more a visual of the taxi that I had shown you just a few moments back. So you can see the sheer impact with which the bus has now hit this particular taxi. You can see the entire behind of this taxi completely gone, completely destroyed by the sheer impact. Once again, this is a photograph of once the bus had gone into the colony, and it was perhaps the force of the gate and everything else that ultimately made the bus stop, and you can see the number of people that had already gathered by that time, because several vehicles and people had been hit in the entire process. So this of course is what was happening in Mumbai last night. But what does this really prove? Who should be held accountable? That's a conversation that we'll have. I have with me Advocate Naveen Chomal, senior lawyer. We have ACP retired Dhanraj Vanjari, former police officer, and Raj Lakshmi Joshi, political analyst, with us on the broadcast. But let me begin with ACP Vanjari. Mr. Vanjari, I'd like to understand from you, sir, once you had read the details of this particular case, what were your first thoughts on what could have possibly gone wrong? Yes, from the eyewitness accounts and some of the initial investigation does suggest that it was a case of brake failure, but there are some bizarre details that have also come in.
After watching and hearing all this conversation from the witnesses and the photographs of what I watched on your channel and some other channel also, yesterday night it's going on, I think it is not a matter of simple brake failure or some technical failure in the vehicle. It's a matter of failure of a system which operates the city bus services in Mumbai's mega city. What about the maintenance department of BEST? How come such vehicle which is not technically fit could be allowed on the road to run and run on the people and kill the people? First of all, I express my gratitude to all dead people and their relatives. उनकी संवेदनाओं से मैं सहमत हूँ और उनकी संवेदनाओं के साथ मैं सहमत होकर ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि whatever has happened, it's very sad. In such a crowded city where 30 vehicles were banged, 5 people killed on the spot, more than 30 people are injured, and out of those injured, more than dozen people are in very serious condition. And moreover, I was listening from one witness that one neck crack is there, so doctor has asked him to deposit some amount in the hospital. Perhaps doctor forgot to understand this is a matter of EPR, the police officer register it. It means that the emergency patient register, and in such emergency, when OPD, the patient recommends or patient comes over there, they have no business to ask for the money. Absolutely wrong it is. What they are doing, that's why I say it's a failure of a system. Not only driver been arrested so far or taken into custody for the culpable homicide causing murder. This is a negligence and a rash accident causing killing of a man, which amounts to culpable homicide amounting to murder as per the old IPC.
Mr. Vanjari, will it be fair to simply arrest and detain just the driver in this particular matter? Should it not become a case where someone looks into the higher up authorities as well? It seems as though the driver will become the scapegoat.
That is what I am going to say further. Driver arrest won't suffice. Perhaps he might have tried his level best, believing that he is not under influence of alcohol or any narcotic drug. we can believe that yes, he was trying to control the vehicle, it is brake failure or any kind of a technical failure. But how come such vehicle was allowed? Who certified it? Who went over there? Who checked? Maintenance department of BST, and whosoever head the maintenance department of BST should be held responsible, right from the chairperson, right from the director, right from the executives of technical department, and all the what these people are doing. I tell you, I stay in the city of Mumbai. Sometimes the sound of such these city buses are so nastily roaring and fear creating that you feel threatened. What about this vehicle? Where it will go? How it will run? Apart from the negligence on the part of driver, it's a matter of gross negligence on the part of system and whosoever responsible, right from the top, and the government officer also who allow such officers to run their job and their duty, they all should be held responsible, not only administratively, but criminally, and they should be made co-accused in culpable homicide amounting to murder.
Okay, Advocate Chomal, your thoughts on the same as well. I want to understand from you, in such a case, who do you think needs to really be held accountable and responsible for what's happened? Because it can't simply be just the bus driver in this matter. We also heard some of the victims' family members, we've heard some of the eyewitnesses as well, and it's so unfortunate. The eyewitness there is saying that we knew this tragedy will happen sooner rather than later, because all our complaints about maintenance and other problems that we face fall on deaf ears. It does seem as though we've started taking human life very lightly in India. The fact that you could just be standing on the road now in the middle of the night and you could be crushed by a vehicle that's not been maintained properly. And the reason why I say that, for a moment we have to assume that the driver was not under the influence of alcohol, because this has happened at 9:30 last night. Had he been under the influence of alcohol or any other sort of drugs, I'm assuming the cops would have immediately gotten those results. From his blood test, everything, all those procedures would have been followed, and certainly the cops would have released that information that yes, this was a case of drunken driving as well. The fact that almost now 24 hours later, they've not come out with any of those sort of reports makes us assume that okay, it's not a case necessarily of the driver being under the influence of alcohol, but it is definitely a case of perhaps brake failure or some major technical glitch in the bus system. So keeping that in mind, who should really be held accountable? Because the driver is once again someone who's perhaps earning 15 to 20,000 rupees a month, and they will become a very easy scapegoat.
I fully agree with you. And this problem basically needs to be understood from the larger perspective and not from the knee-jerk reaction as what our co-panelist Mr. Vanzari has been giving. So whatever thoughts he has been put, they don't appear to be in place. See what has been happening. Kindly appreciate that even our Honorable Minister Shri Gadkari has been repeatedly telling the people that there are lots of cases of road accidents in our country which are disproportionate as compared to other developed countries. And one of the reasons is that we are very, having laxity over the laws regarding enforcement of the traffic rules. And the courts are also very lenient. Public are very callous. The enforcement agency is also therefore not very strict about following the rules. So often what happens is there is no fear of law. So people tend to get away. So in this case, before the bus the fiasco occurred, see what had happened was a triggering point that the rickshaw driver intercepted the bus, because of which the driver ultimately lost the control. Maybe there may be other related factors, that this particular driver Sanjay More had joined from 1st December only, and maybe he must not be too much well accustomed to driving the automatic vehicles, because the police have come with the report, and even he has told the police very fairly that there was no technical glitch in the vehicle. So police have also found that there was no technical glitch. So ultimately, in a moment of panic, when the rickshaw driver broke the traffic rule and he intercepted the bus, So to protect that rickshaw driver, this particular bus driver lost the control, and by pressing the accelerator instead of brake, that particular accident occurred in few seconds. So before he could realize what is happening and what damage he is doing, and before he could control within the few seconds, he had already done the damage in the heavily crowded locality. So it's a very unfortunate incident. So ultimately, what the lesson that we must learn is not only confined to this particular incident, but we as a nation must adopt a policy of strictly abiding by the traffic rules, and anyone found, what you say, breaking the traffic rules, any vehicle person, then he has to be punished very severely. There must be consequences, because human lives are very important. We cannot keep on losing human lives so easily. So one of the long-term solution is to implement the traffic rules. In fact, the government had last year come out with the strict penalty for the drivers, but drivers agitated, so government had to backtrack it. So now it is a time that we all people in the country should come out in support of the government, urge the government to come out with strong laws for traffic violations, and whatever the consequences may be, if there is a protest, we will stand by the government, and ultimately the rules should be implemented for our good only. Tomorrow we will be also traveling in the markets and crowded localities. Our family members will be traveling, so they may also face this fears of accident. So let us all, as prudent citizens and with our esteemed viewers, let us come to a view that let us support the government, that you take strong action, implement the laws very sternly.
Okay, Mr. Vanjari wanted to make a point before I bring in Rajashmi Joshi as well.
It's being put on the TV channel. I understand. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Vanjari, go ahead. We can hear you, sir.
It's a matter of supporting government, or it's not a matter what government is doing. It is also not a matter what Minister Gadkari sir is giving the lectures. If that lectures have been taken seriously, you people are responsible. Your administration, you do not have a capacity to run in a proper manner. That is what I am saying. Entire system, who runs BST, how the maintenance department working, why this default, technically default vehicle was on the road, and he said there was some rickshaw driver intercepted, and instead of putting the leg on the accelerator, he put it on the brake, or brake against accelerator like this, something. These are all given stories. One need not to believe it unless and until the RTO inspection comes with a clear fact that what exactly technical default has caused the accident to happen over here. There is no question to blame any politician, or there is no question to bring politics in such incidents of death. Mr. Chogle, try to understand my feeling. It's a matter of failure of a system which runs a transport services. Your transport minister, your BST director, your maintenance department chairperson, all are responsible for this, and they should be held criminally liable. Criminally liable. Well, Mr. Gadkari has given a very good speech. Everybody has listened to it. But is his own administration, is his own transport minister following the speech of Gadkari? What you are narrating? Because of speech, can you stop all such nonsense and deaths of the people on the road?
Okay.
It hurts more. It hurts more. You are not with the sensitivity of the people who lost their life and the relatives, what grief and grief they are facing.
Yes, I want to
It is a matter of failure of a system. Whosoever responsible should be held criminally liable. Criminally liable.
Okay, I want to bring in Rajashmi Joshi as well. Rajashmi Joshi, there's a Shiv Sena MLA, Dilip Lande, who has just a few moments back, you know, he has now come out and also said that brake failure was the reason for the accident, and that the bus driver in fact panicked once he lost control of the bus and he couldn't hit the brake. He panicked, and in that panic he's rammed into all of these vehicles, and unfortunately into a number of people as well who have lost their lives. But you know, for us to simply say that for us to rule out or assume that it wasn't a matter of brake failure, and that the driver didn't know the difference between the brake and the accelerator because he was not used to. Ultimately, okay, even if we were to assume that this is a driver who's just started from the 1st of December, that he's a very new driver as far as driving these larger buses is concerned, it still boils down to the fact that he wasn't trained then. That someone, without giving him proper training on how to deal with the bus, put him in that bus. So ultimately it all goes back to asking the question, who has to be held accountable, because it can't just be some driver called Sanjay More. It can't just be him.
Yes, Devika, I absolutely agree with every word of what you're saying. Very firstly, my heartfelt condolences to all the people who lost their lives, and as well as the people who are injured and their dear ones. So these kind of accidents, I would say, are entirely avoidable. So this was something that I also shudder to think what would have happened if the school, that Anjuman Islam, if that was, if this accident had happened during the daytime and the school children were there on the roads, what would have happened? So these kind of incidents are definitely something, they're appalling when you think that a lot of things could have been done to avoid it. And also I always like Mr. Vanjari was saying and Mr. Chomal was saying that we all shudder when some of these buses pass very close by. So this is not something new, or in different cities also we have seen this kind of a terror, whether it may be those red line, blue line, whatever buses in Delhi, whether it may be in Bengaluru, in Karnataka, in Mumbai. All these buses, the bus drivers seem to think that they are above and beyond the law. That is something that I have seen. So this, definitely there is something missing in the system. And like Mr. Chomal was saying, that people definitely need to cooperate with the authorities and with the government when they make strict laws, because ultimately it's for our own safety. So like he rightly pointed out, every time there is a something strict or stringent added, there are either the human rights people, organizations, or the people, or the drivers, the truck drivers or the bus drivers, they come out and they protest and they create a huge ruckus saying that we do not want to be paying these heavy fines. There is a similar situation with truck drivers as well. So this thing is something that everybody needs to take a joint responsibility. So see, one thing is that you have too many people on the roads as well. So when in the route of the bus, you have people walking on the roads instead of on the pavement. So now there is the responsibility of the people who are managing the pavement as well, because you don't have a proper footpath, so then you have people walking on the roads. So it's all a joint responsibility, Devika. So now in this particular situation, we still have to understand, or we still don't know if it was prima facie, if it was a problem of the brake failure, because they're saying that the primary investigation says that it was not a technical fault, and the driver himself has said that he panicked, and because of which he pressed the accelerator instead of the brakes. It was probably not that he didn't know which, but it could happen to anybody. But what happens is, when a person is supposed to be driving a public transport, a bus, a huge one which is carrying almost 50 people or more during peak hours, that person has to be absolutely efficient and capable of handling such a bus. So it is a huge vehicle and something that can cause damage not only to the people inside but the people outside as well. So all of this has to be factored in, Devika, and obviously there has to be a proper investigation, and there will have to be heads that roll, whether it may be people who have given him the licenses or he himself. And if there is a problem in the technical a problem of the bus, then the maintenance department as well. So all these things cannot be taken lightly. Every life, even if one person is injured, I think then obviously there has to be a proper investigation, so that bigger accidents don't happen in the future. And that even when the routes are planned, I think that you should make sure that there should not be too much congestion, and there should be a proper provision to make sure that the bus comes in a proper way and it stops at a proper designated place, and that the people also properly maintain discipline while entering,
Okay.
boarding, alighting from the bus.
Yes, I want to give the last word to Advocate Choman. Advocate Choman, you've heard what Mr. Banjari as well as Rajlakshmi Joshi had to say. Have their thoughts somewhere perhaps changed your mind as well about who really needs to be held accountable?
No, there is no question of changing my mind. In fact, Raj Lakshmi ji has very beautifully articulated the facts, which even I was trying to converse the same things. See, the issue is very clear that it is a collective responsibility and not only of that particular driver Sanjay More. Because you see, on the footpath, the municipal authorities, they take haftas from the hawkers, illegal hawkers, and they occupy the footpaths. So people cannot walk on the footpath, they walk on the road, and that is what triggers the drivers also to panic and what you say, frustrate. So ultimately we will all as a citizens will have to start thinking that how to what you say go about and handle this situation. It can happen to Kurla, it can happen to any other place tomorrow. So we must try to have a larger solution to it, and I again stress my view as in fact rightly supported by Rajlakshmi ji also that we all citizens must come together and see that the traffic rules are very properly and meticulously adhered to, and any violation should invite a very strict penalty, and we must support our government, and the unscrupulous elements like the truck drivers association, if they come out in protest, we must still stand in support of the government ultimately, because our lives are important.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
absolutely, absolutely. I've run out of time, but I thank all of our panelists for joining us on the broadcast to take this crucial conversation forward. Hopefully, the victims of the Kurla bus accident will get the justice that they deserve. On that note, viewers, we sip into a very quick break.